Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to another installment in the N-scale railroad build in my workshop. If you're watching last week, you will have seen me get the staging yard ladder wired up and the switch machines installed. In this episode, I'm going to reinstall it, get the top deck put back together again, and get all the fascia and backdrops painted. And for the benefit of those of you who watch my videos all the way through, there will be an announcement near the end. So with that in mind, let's just head out to the workshop and get to work. Well, last time I was out here, I reinstalled this board that I had removed for working on it. With all the track work, wiring and switch machines tested in this area, it is now time to reassemble the parts of the railroad that I have to dismantle. First will be this wall that goes in the back where the two wrenches are sitting right now. And then the board that goes on top of this one, the start of the main freight yard. And then there'll be two benchwork sections for the top deck. And then lastly, 4 pieces of the standalone upper level backdrop around the peninsula. It shouldn't take very long to get it put back together. So let me do that and I will be right back. Well, that didn't take very long at all, although it was a rather sweaty job, because I don't have any AC in my workshop. I'm still waiting for the contractor to come back and fix the warranty issue, but so far no luck. Anyway, with everything put back together, my next task is to paint the backdrops and the fascia. I'm going to do the backdrops first because that means reaching over, and that way I'm not going to risk dripping blue paint on the painted fascia. I probably have a little bit of masking off to do first, but let me get on with that and then get the paint out. So don't go away, I'll be right back. Right, I've now painted one coat on the backdrops, both top and bottom. I started with the top deck, worked my way all the way along from one end to the other, and then came back along the bottom deck. It'll still look patchy at the moment. It's only one coat, and most of that soaks into the masonite. But it's enough to find all the imperfections that I need to fill with the spackle before I do the second coat. I always like to get the backdrops and the fascia painted in any layout build project for several reasons. One of them being that it finds any imperfections that I need to fill. Another is that it keeps most of the mess in my workshop instead of in the client's train room, which very often is a finished room. So you don't want to be slinging more paint around there than necessary. Anyway, I am going to go in now, let that paint dry, and I'm going to come back out just before the end of the day and spackle all the rough joints. That way that can dry overnight and I can sand that tomorrow and get the second coat on. Don't go away, I will check in with you tomorrow. Well, I left the spackle to go hard overnight and I've just come out here this morning, sanded everything to a feathered edge. Before I put the second coat of paint on the backdrop, I'm going to go around quickly and hit the spackled areas and then come back and paint them again. That way I'll still have 2 coats of paint on everywhere. So let me just get on with that and I'll be right back. Don't go away. Well, that is the second coat painted on the backdrops all the way around. I've also been inside for a couple of hours just to give it time to dry. So it looks nice and even now. Okay, this afternoon I am going to get paint on the fascia. I'm going to paint them dark brown, which is my first choice for fascia colours. And the client agreed with me in this case that that's what he would like. When looking for a suitable colour, I found a colour tab on the wall at Lowe's that was actually labelled dark earth. So that's what I went with. The actual colour is not that critical because it's an easy matter to paint over it later. It's a lot easier to change it to a similar colour than it is to start again from bare masonite. Anyway, I'm just going to put the camera down now and get out the paint, and I will be right back, so don't go away. Well, I've painted one coat on the fascia all over, and there's something wrong with it. Although I ordered exactly the same paint for both the blue and the brown, the blue was nice and thick and covered beautifully. The brown is very runny and just is not covering very well at all. I think the colour is also a lot lighter than I remembered it from the sample. So obviously something went wrong. Anyway, I looked at the two cans and I noticed that the light blue, it used base A, and the brown, they used a base C. I don't know what the difference is, but that could have something to do with it. Anyway, I've got to go back to Lowe's tomorrow anyway, so I'm just going to take it back and exchange it. So in the meantime, don't go away. I'll check in with you tomorrow. Well, this is what it looks like with 2 coats of brown on the fascia. Normally 2 coats would be enough, but there was a problem with the paint that I bought. First coat that I put on yesterday, it was just really runny and was not covering at all. So I took it back to Lowe's today and I exchanged it. They had one look inside the can and immediately said, yeah, it's too thin. So I'm just going to put one more coat on quickly and then I should be done with the painting. Well, that is 1 extra coat put on all the fascia, all the way around. All the way to the very end of the benchwork. It only took a few minutes and it's better than leaving it patchy. It probably still looks patchy at the moment. That's because I've only just finished putting it on. So of course there are bits that have started to dry when there are other bits that are still very wet. If I were to come out here again in a couple of hours, it would be just about perfect. Anyway, I'm not planning on coming out again today. I am going to wait now until I'm ready to start on the scenery. Yes, that's right, the client has asked me to do a small area of scenery in this portion of the railroad. So it's just going to be a small triangle, basically everywhere behind this benchwork joint, in that corner section and over the top of the Winslow scene. I do have one bridge kit to build before that. It arrived yesterday. It is an Atlas truss bridge which is going to go about here, just where the camera's pointing now. It looks like a very simple kit to assemble, so it shouldn't take long. But I still have another inside project to finish first to clear off my workbench. So it might be a few days before I get back out here again. Anyway, in the meantime, don't go away. I'll check in with you next week. Well, that's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. And as you probably gathered by now, the announcement, of course, was that I am now going to be doing some scenery on this railroad. So I hope to see you back there. In the meantime, thanks for watching and bye for now.